Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to discuss a market update for September 2024, talk about some ins and outs, and get right into it. So I'll let you talk about a little bit of the overview.
Perfect. So we'll just talk, we're going to break it down, obviously, like usual, talk about the market as a whole, and then we'll get into individual categories. So in September of 2023, we had 53 sales compared to 2024, where there is 37. So we're down 30%. But the average sale price is up. It went from 255 in 23 to almost, or sorry, not 255, 1255 to almost 1.3 in September 2024. So we're up a little over 3%. The average square foot price of September 2024 is 816, and the average days on the market is 64 days. So why don't you start by breaking down the categories?
Sure. Single family homes, we had 6 sales in the month of September. Average sale price was coming in at just over 2.4 million. The average square foot price, $701 a foot. And the average days on market to sale was 115. So although that seems high, we'll touch on that later.
Yep. For the townhomes, we had 5 sales in September. Average sale price is 1.1, almost 1.2. The average square foot price was 794 and 77 days on the market.
749.
Sorry, 749.
Apartments, we had 13 sales for an average sale price of, 13 sales for an average sale price of 803,000. The average square foot price, $747 a foot, and it took an average of 46 days to sell.
In the half duplexes, there was 3. $2.1 million was the average sale price. Square foot price was $678 and 74 days on the market.
Moving into the short-term rental sector, we have hotel condos first. 5 sales for an average sale price of $867,000. The average square foot price for those hotel condos, $818 a foot, and the average days on market was 54.
And for tourist home, 4 sales. The average sale price, $1.128. Over $1,000 a square foot, 1,008, and 31 days on the market.
So before we go into a little bit more of a breakdown, I just want to touch on some year-to-date statistics thus far where we're at today. So 2023 for sold listings year-to-date, we had 402. For 2024, we're at 377. So we're seeing a dip of about 6.25%.
And then the end of month active inventory, we actually had a little bit more this September compared to last September.
Year to date.
Yeah, sorry, year to date. 190 year to date last September and 196. So we're hovering around the same. I wouldn't call that a big difference, 3.16%. The average sale price grew by about 60,000. So 1.040 in 23 and 24 was 1.168. And so it's an increase of 12.39%. So we're seeing the price year to date grow at 12%. That's kind of typical 10% growth.
Totally. Now let's talk about some notes, kind of break down the market, what we've seen in the last little bit, maybe what we're forecasting, some different news. So make sure you stick to the end of this video because we are going to talk about a key new implementation that the government is introducing to mortgages and registration and stuff like that. So we'll get there. But let's start off by talking about the days on the market. I really want to emphasize on it being a little bit higher. And I think part of that is we did see 3 single family homes sell for over 100 days on the market.
Yeah.
So good to see those moves. But in general, that's kind of what we're seeing. I feel like things are just taking longer to sell in general, even though the statistics aren't really reflecting that. I just kind of think that it's that time of year where things are starting to slow down a hair and days on market might creep up a little bit. So don't be overly shocked at that. That's just kind of what I feel happens right now.
I agree. November and April are typically our slower months. Although, you know, you look at the average days on market as a whole, we're 64.
Yeah.
You know, those numbers with the 100 plus days being sold will skew that a little bit. Totally. So I still think we're in a really active market here, but people are more selective.
Yeah.
And you know, that in turn kind of slows things down, so to speak.
And speaking of active market, we saw apartments lead the way this month with 13 sales. So we haven't seen that in a little bit. Last month it was the single families that
It's
were
kind of jumped
dominating. Yeah.
all
So
over, right?
the apartment market is our busiest market. Hotel condos typically are, the short-term rental market tends to cool down this time of year a little bit, but then it goes crazy again in the new year. So it's all very relative. Let's talk about interest rates.
Well, let's talk about the short term because it's an interesting kind of statistic. There's 10 sales in the last month, and that seems to be where it's hovering lately. So I think that if you're in the short term market, I just listed one and ended up 2 days in multiple offers. So it does depend on what building you're in.
Totally.
Your view, price, making sure you're priced properly. So if you have a short-term rental property and you're thinking about selling or you're looking at purchasing one, make sure you talk to us because we want to make sure that you're getting the most money in your pocket if you're selling, and then obviously trying to buy for the best price. So,
totally.
And I think those particular types of things, when you go to, if you're purchasing and you're going to want to sell later, having something like, I helped these clients buy this in 2015. 2019. They were able to look at units, and we were able to direct them into a unit that we knew would sell quicker. Because if you're in a market that's a little bit slower on that front, it had those extra things that people were interested in. So,
totally.
Interest rates. Talk about interest rates. I know you're dealing with them a little bit yourself, so maybe just give a little brief overview of what you've heard.
Yeah, I mean, interest rates have dropped, which everyone's kind of been aware of. So what I've kind of learned throughout the whole process is that when the Bank of Canada lowers their rates, a lot of it depends on the bonds and whatnot, but sometimes it takes a little bit for those rates to actually reflect in rates. So it kind of goes back to maybe where I made a non-educated comment in previous videos of interest rates are dropping, like we should see this being reflected in the real estate market like today, people are going to be jumping at. But I think it's taking some time. What I do know is that we're starting to see fixed rates below 4.5%, and the Bank of Canada has discussed openly about potentially doing a 50-point basis drop. With maybe even another drop by the end of the year. So I think rolling into 2025, we're going to see some good opportunities. I think people are still waiting. Obviously, rates got to a point where they were higher than what people were used to. So it's taken some drops to get to a point where maybe it's in people's comfort zone. But I think people are going to be having refinancing stuff coming up here soon. And then I also think it's going to be a good time for people to look and open the door into buying again, because rates are going to be more competitive than they have been for the last couple of years, and I think that there's going to be some good opportunity. I know there is. So,
and having said that, if you're going to get a rate hold for future purchase, just know that there are some lenders that will hold your rate for 120 days, and if it does drop, you do get that dropped rate.
Well, and then there's quick close rates too. There's a whole bunch of different styles that you can take advantage of.
Yeah, so connect with us if you're looking for somebody to give you that kind of advice. We have some partners that we deal with that have helped clients in the past and are more than happy to give you an idea of what you can qualify, because that's so important. Right? You don't want to go out looking at a bunch of properties and realize, hey, I could buy here, or I can't quite afford that, or whatever that may be, or you may be surprised at what you actually can afford, how far your dollar will go based on what interest rates are doing. So.
And there's so many different factors that play into that, including lower rates. I mean, there's tons of different elements, and this isn't the right video for that, but yes, interest rates are coming down. You're going to be able to have an increase in spending.
Absolutely.
Why don't we just quickly touch on tourist home, because I thought this was interesting. We see hotel condos kind of hovering between that $800 to $900 a foot lately, and then we see the tourist home jump to over $1,000 this past month. So We've actually mentioned that in a lot of videos lately about tourist homes is they're tending to sell for more per square foot than hotel condos more consistently now.
Yeah. And it's probably the flexibility that you're
Yeah.
allowed to do with it.
Totally.
Even though the town is talking about some changes,
Yeah.
it's still more flexible. So yeah, and it goes back to, if you look at resort type places around North America,
Yeah.
they're $3,000 and $4,000 a square foot. Now,
Totally.
I'm not suggesting that we're going to see that here.
Yeah.
But there are some people that look at it and go, well, that's less expensive than if I was here. So
Hot take here, we will see $1,000 a foot in residential market one day. It's going to happen.
I agree.
Whether people like it or not, it's going to happen.
It is going to happen.
And I don't love it either because I have to live here. I have to do all that stuff, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And again, just on the tourist home stuff too, Spring Creek, for example, their short-term rentals are all tourist home. The TP Town fourplex units. So there is a reason why they sell for a little bit more per square foot, because they're more unique, they're more of the higher end, and they're larger units.
Yes.
So they're able to kind of recuperate that price per square foot.
Definitely those newer builds, right?
Yeah.
Which is what, the one that sold for $1,000 was in Spring Creek.
Yeah. Now the other thing I think we need to keep an eye on moving forward is average price per square foot. We were $816 per month. On average. And then $833 and $830 have been the last 2 months. So we've dropped a little bit in average price per square foot, which I think is going to be key to monitor, because I don't think we've seen low 800s in a little bit.
No, and part of that is we're seeing some price reduction. So I still think there's people chasing the market when they're listing. So again, if you want to get an accurate snapshot of what your property is worth, connect with us. We have a pretty good handle on what that looks like, and are more than happy to help you out and give you an idea of what that looks like. So
thank you so much for subscribing to the channel, and please do like and turn that notification bell on, because it really does help us grow. And for those of you who have stuck around this far, we're going to dive into what I think is kind of the highlight of what's going to be happening here in the real estate world moving forward. The government of Alberta announces land transfer and mortgage registration fees will be significantly increasing. These changes can add hundreds or even thousands of dollars to the cost of a closing transaction. Do you want to break down what a quick example would look like?
yeah, so a quick example would be, for instance, a $500,000 property with a $500,000 mortgage, which obviously you don't 100% mortgage, but for this instance, the cost could go from $450 to $1,100 to close on registration and title. So a $1 million property with a $1 million mortgage would increase from $800 to $2,100. So when you're going, if you can get your deal done before October 20th, which could be tough, because of where we're at. But if you're closing right now and you have a possession a little bit later, maybe you could go back and adjust that. I'm not sure, but think about that. One of the things to think about is where you'll notice that is when you go talk to a lawyer and say, what's your fees? And all of a sudden they've gone from, $1,500 to $2,000 to $4,000 or $3,500. So that's where you're going to see that. So don't blame the lawyers, because it's not their fault. They are just passing on what's being charged to them on title registration.
Yeah. And in the past too, Alberta's always been the cheapest to purchase and sell land or property, real estate in general. So this is kind of similar to maybe some of the other provinces in Canada. I don't know exactly what they have, but I do know that they've had land transfer taxes that were higher and all sorts of other things. So more so just keep that in mind as an expense that you will have when buying or selling real estate, just to kind of stay at the top of your mind throughout this process, because it is an extra potential couple $100 or $1,000, and that can make a difference for some people, and it's just important to be aware. So
yeah, and sometimes when you go get pre-approved for a mortgage, they will require you to have, let's say, 3% for closing costs, and the closing costs could include, obviously lawyer fees and registration and those types of things. So definitely conversations to have with A, your mortgage broker, or B, us. We can help you. We do have realtors that we have dealt with. Our clients have had a ton of success not success, but had some great experience with. So let us know and we can help you out that way as well.
Well, I think that kind of wraps up what we wanted to cover today. Thank you guys so much for listening to this video. If you guys have any comments, please drop them down in the description below, and then we'll be coming at you with an October market update here in a couple weeks.
Sounds good.
Okay, take care.